The Mariners just played one of their probably weirdest series of the year versus the Minnesota Twins. 2 walk-off wins in this one. Kind of bittersweet, kind of, I mean, you won the series, but things were not pretty. We're going to talk about all 3 games in that series, and then we're going to talk about what's going on with this bullpen, kind of the moves the Mariners have made over the last couple of days. We'll talk more about Bryce Miller's start, etc. Joe's going to give us his operational overreaction, which he definitely has prepared. Then we're going to talk about the Baltimore Orioles series coming up starting on Tuesday. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 196 of the Hit It Here podcast, part of the Bleav network, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Be sure to give us a 5-star review wherever you listen and like this video. And this is the Mojovian episode.
Yeah.
We had the Mariner Mojo meetup, the second to last game versus the Twins, and we met so many people it would take us forever to just go through and thank all of you. But for everybody that was there, it was great to see all your faces. Thank you guys so much for coming out and supporting us and hanging out with us. We got to watch a walk-off. We got to watch Cole Young with a walk-off.
Mm-hmm.
We got to watch his debut. We got to watch the Mariners retake first place for the 3rd year in a row during the Mojo meetup. The vibes were strong, Joe.
I do have one special shout out. Nelson, who was at the meetup, told me that Will Krogan would love a shout out. So, courtesy of a Mojovian at the meetup, Will W. Can't spell W without Will. And it's your
true.
episode.
Oh.
So, that's
You can spell W without Will, but you can't spell Will without W.
What did I say it backwards? Listen, I just streamed for an hour. We ended the stream by talking about how much I like bidets. We don't need to get into it. Right? It was
what?
Don't worry about it. We'll move past it. The Twins series, you mentioned it feeling a little bittersweet, and I don't necessarily disagree. And the tweet that you just read as we started recording this is the vibes are high after 2 walk, whatever. Yes, you did win 2 games in this Twins series. You won the series. You walked off the Twins twice. Awesome. The first game, I don't even want to look at the box score. I don't even want to subject myself to such a torturous experience.
Mm-hmm.
You're heading into the top of the 9th. My apologies. With a 6-3 lead. Cal Raleigh just homered in the inning before. Bro has been unstoppable. When you need him most, Cal Raleigh comes up, it seems like, and will blast on the enemy franchise. He gives you a 3-run lead. Passing the ball to Munoz with a 3-run lead felt like the easiest Game 1 win. But we all know that game ends with a 12-6 final scoreline, which, giving up 9 runs in 2 innings is absurd. I don't know if the 9-50 Rocky, they've probably done that. They've probably done that this year. But that's something the 9-50 Rockies do, not the Mariners who were currently in first in their division at that point with the best closer in baseball inheriting that 9th inning. That's not something that happens there. And this Twin series has devil magic written all over it. Ty France must have took Andres Munoz's bag of tricks, took all the secrets out, and gave it to the Twins dugout because they had his number the entire series.
It's something about the AL Central. It truly is. You know what I mean? The Royals, the Tigers, the Twins. It's something about them. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was at this game, and the vibes were high. I was there with a group of friends from work. We were all having a good time. We had fantastic seats. Andres Munoz is coming in. We're dancing. We're dancing to the walk-in music. He gets 2 outs. Feeling good. And then, there goes the home run ball into right field. And I'm like, oh, man, Munoz just gave up his first runs of the year. Bummer. At least the Mariners are going to get a win. It's fireworks night. And then all of a sudden, Byron Buxton gets on, steals second base, and then the ball hit the center field, and this game's tied. And my emotions went. And then the Mariners put up a big old goose egg there in the 9th inning when they had a chance to walk it off. And then the 10th inning rolls around, and Casey. No. Was it Legomina?
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, it is Casey Legomina. Snyder was the night before. Casey Legomina comes in immediately gives up a 2-run home run to Carlos Correa. And at that point, I knew it was chalked because the Mariners offense hadn't been able to do anything for quite some time. I mean, the guys you needed to produce in this game did. Like you said, Cal was 2 for 4. Randy was 2 for 4. Julio was 2 for 5. Even Polo had a hit in this one, which is a pretty rare sight. J.P. Crawford, 2 for 4. You only use Matt Brash for an out there. I mean, we've kind of harped on it a lot lately. You probably don't want him getting up and down out of the bullpen. So, it is what it is. Carlos Vargas came in, did his job, and like you said, passing the ball to Andres Munoz 9.9 times out of 10, that's a save, and the Mariners win that game. That was not the case in this game, and then I got to watch the fireworks show with the 1,000-yard stare, and then I had to, and then I'm gonna break the fourth wall here. Yeah, that stare. I'm gonna break the fourth wall here. We got on the light rail to go back home, and we get to the Tukwila Boulevard station, and they're like, "Hey, this is the last stop." And I'm like, "I need to go to Angle Lake." They're like, "Sucks, bro, last stop." So then we had to walk 2 miles at like 12 a.m. back to the Angle Lake station. So that was how I ended that night. So vibes were really strong. And then I got up, Joe, the next day at 9 a.m. and we went to the game again.
We did it all over again. During that game, during that collapse, Cole Young pulled from the game in Tacoma, does get called up. MLB Pipeline tweets it. Daniel Kramer tweets it. Cole Young is getting called up to the Seattle Mariners to make his major league debut. A very exciting time, and exciting for us and the people that attended the Mariner Mojo meetup. We get to watch Cole Young, a top prospect in the Mariners system ever since he got drafted in 2022, make his MLB debut. A very special experience, and I'm glad we got to share it with a bunch of you guys in the community and just any of the fans that were there in general. Water bottle moment. I myself wanted him to bat 2, but he was batting 8th. And this game, it was not off to a good start. It's Bryce Miller's return from the injured list. First inning goes okay. And then the second inning, Matt Wallner in his return hits a 2-run jack. I mean, absolutely just pissed on it. And Miller just I don't know, velo was weird. He was throwing a lot of off speed in certain at-bats where I felt like he normally would ride his fastball. It was not the start that I wanted to see out of Bryce Miller, if that makes sense. I don't feel much more confident about him going forward, but the Mariners do play battle. They battle back in this one, right? Cal hits a homer in this game, brings the game to a 2-3 scoreline. JP, holy hell, bat flip of the season probably so far for the Mariners. Absolutely ripped that one. Did some damage to the scoreboard out there. It's technically a scoreboard, right?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Video board.
So. That's a much better word. A huge home run. Gives the Mariners a lead. Munoz is down in this game. It turns over to the 9th, and we have Carlos Vargas. And Colton, I'd like for you, as the person who does not want athletes to make athletic plays, that one's indefensible. I think Woo's play is much different than Vargas's, in my opinion. But Vargas, he said, heck it, I'm throwing this ball. And he never should have.
When the game is on the line, you eat that baseball. Because you know that if you F it up, that they're getting to third base.
And it was Buxton.
Hell, he might have scored. You know what I mean? And Carlos Vargas is I don't know if it's an ego thing or what with him and with Brian Wu, but I'm like, guys, listen, all right? We don't have to try to make every out. Sometimes you just gotta be yeah, that's a hit. It's a great swing. It's a great bunt. It's a hit. And yeah, he threw it down the right field line. Doesn't get charged with an earned run because it was on an error, even though it was his fault, which is baseball's weird. He did give up the run there in the 9th inning, which tied the game. And the Mariners turned the ball over to one Colin Snyder in this game, who 2 nights before gave up 5 runs and blew the game versus the Nationals. I was not looking forward to it, and I ate my words. He came out and absolutely shoved.
I mean, he did. Oh God, shoved. 2 innings scoreless in extras. Yes, great work to get her around, dance around trouble. a ripped double play at Dylan Moore, who was a defensive replacement for Ben Williamson in this one. Like,
can't forget Julio's throw home either.
Yeah, I mean, literally, the throw home from Julio to an absolute seed, and then the Demo ripped ball at him, bobbles it initially, and then has to still make the turn. Like, gets a huge double play right there. You said something to me at the game that I can't repeat on camera, but we were excited. And, I mean, there were so many up and down moments in this game. It was so high and so low so many times. Like, they had the bases loaded. I mean, they had first and third, I think, with one out at some point. There was a lot going on. We were very distracted. We weren't super locked in all the time. Like, we were really trying to be, but there was a lot going on. And I honestly don't remember exactly how everything played out. But 2 scoreless innings from Colin Snyder is huge in that scenario, especially given what happened, like you said, 2 nights before. Cole Young got his first hit in this game. Awesome. And he ends up with the walk-off later as well. An interesting moment where Garver starts the inning on second base. Taveras bunts him over, and we're like, why is Garver still on the bases? But then Mastroboni pinch runs for him because Garver was catching, so you'd lose your DH if you don't score there. So it's like, I get it. Probably trying to like see if Taveras gets the bunt down first. But a little squibber, a similar walk-off hit from Cole Young, 2 days ago with the Rainiers. Yeah. Just replays it in his head, manifests
Looked like the last one we saw in Everett, too.
Yeah, true. It's a good point. So Mariners walked this one off 5-4. Maybe didn't need the walk-off, but a very, very exciting and cool moment for Cole Young and for us in attendance. Like, it's a very awesome moment that we got to witness him be like celebrated in such a way on the field with, his new teammates.
Mm-hmm. It was a lot of fun. I mean, and again, we had so many people there. It was such a vibe. With that being said, and this goes into this next game, the last game of the series, it was 3 days in a row that they blew the game.
Yep.
Right. And that didn't change going into the last game versus the Twins on Sunday, where Luis Castillo was fantastic, and Chris Paddock was even better. However, Cal Raleigh hit another home run off of Chris Paddock in this one in the bottom of the 7th inning. And then Andres Munoz, I mean, there's really not a lot else to talk about in this
Nothing.
game, you know what
Legitimately
I mean?
nothing.
Andres Munoz comes in to get the save, and I'm like, good. I'm glad he's just right back out there, going to just get the save. And yeah, he gives up a run, and the game is tied again. And it's another blown save for Andres Munoz, who has been the best closer in baseball until the last couple of games.
Yep.
And you go into this game in the bottom of the 9th, and it's like, this is deja vu 4 days in a row of what's happening. Thankfully, the Mariners are able to come through. Obviously, Julio was able to work his way on base. I think it was a walk. I wasn't able to watch the whole the start of that inning.
Hit a ground ball to an infield single. He's still second. Jeffers overthrows. He ends up on third. Randy singles him home for the second walk-off win in a row. So yeah, vibes could be high in that scenario where you're winning 2 games in a row, but also on walk-offs. Like, yes, very like a novelty experience, but I think everyone and their mother would just maybe prefer 9 innings of clean baseball. You know what I mean? The Munoz stuff is interesting. He got a call in the at-bat against Clemens to start it, and then when he walked him, that ball could have been called a strike, which would have been strike 3. Clemens was the tying run, so it's a bit of a touchy, what if situation. If that first pitch is called a ball anyways, he gets walked no matter what. So it is another blown save. His slider just was not. It was kind of cement mixing in this one. So I think a day off tomorrow, if there's a save situation available in Baltimore, he's going to be back out there again, just right back on the horse, like no questions asked. So, what?
They're in Seattle still.
Did I say in Baltimore?
Yeah.
Oh, I meant against. I meant against Baltimore.
I was like wait a second.
Day off on Monday. That leads into Baltimore coming into town is what I meant, but I probably did say in Baltimore. So, regardless of that, I mean, again, a nice series win. but I don't think that this is it wasn't a good series win, if that makes sense. It's one where it could have been much easier, and it also could have been a sweep.
Mm-hmm. It could have been. The Mariners could be on a 4-game winning streak right now. 5, actually 5, because I think they won the middle game, right?
Against the Nats, yeah.
The Nats, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been a 5-game winning streak right now. Vibes would be a lot different. You know what I mean? We like 4 days in a row where you blow a lead. Like the vibes would be so much higher with these 2 walk-offs had they been comeback wins, like where the team was down by a few runs, they come back late.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then they get the walk-off. But the vibes aren't that high in my opinion because yeah, they walked it off, which is awesome. A win is a win. That's great. But watching certain guys implode
Not fun.
is rough. And I talked about it a lot, like earlier in the season this year. The bill comes due with someone like how many innings Andres Munoz has had to throw.
Mm-hmm.
The bill comes due. Like eventually and we all knew he was going to give up a run at some point. Like that's just he's not going to go the whole season without giving up a run. Did I expect it to come in the way it did, where he's blowing a couple of saves? No, I knew he'd blow some throughout the year, but it's like, again, the bill just comes due with his slider being right in the middle of the plate. I mean, he could just be tired, man. It could just be literal fatigue.
Yeah,
like that is affecting him on the mound right now. We know he's had troubles with his lower back in the past as well. I think he had surgery on his ankle last year. Like it could be a billion different things.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm interested to see Munoz moving forward. I would like to see them give him a few days off just to kind of try to get him right. Hopefully against Baltimore, you don't really need him.
Yeah.
I mean, Baltimore's been pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
But then, of course, we saw, other than Munoz, we saw Legumina be pretty bad, Snyder be bad, and Vargas was fine other than stupidity, I guess.
The errant throw, yeah.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. This Mariners bullpen is in a weird spot because you have Brash back. Jackson Coar is back as well, who's looked okay. Andres Munoz is slumping a little bit right now. Like, guys aren't always going to be hot at the same time. So at least there's now more guys in the bullpen that you can trust, where you don't have to turn to Munoz in certain situations. But nonetheless, it's still concerning, in my opinion, just the way things have gone.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Did you ever think you'd reach a point where you might miss Trent Thornton in the Mariners bullpen? Like, have we reached the point where we're missing Trent Thornton right now? The safety goggles squad? But
at the same time, over who?
Casey Lawrence is still in the pen.
That's a good point.
If Thornton was available or not injured, he'll be back soon. When he comes back, Lawrence is DFA'd again. And Legumina probably stays in Tacoma for a little bit until either Bizardo or a Snyder or a Thornton are going to be DFA'd or traded if they package a reliever with something later down the line. So Legumina had an option, so he was sent down when Miller returned from the injured list. But yeah, I was just looking at Fangraphs as who else could the Mariners call up in place of Lawrence when he eventually does get DFA'd again? And Thornton's probably that guy, would be my assumption. So,
yeah, and I mean Bizardo's been great recently too. He's pitched his tail off recently. So
yeah,
I think that's a good sign. Maybe the Mariners are finally seeing what they've wanted to out of him over the past couple of years. I don't know, man. I mean, you look at where this pitching staff is right now. It's supposed to be the backbone of this team, and yet it's been. And don't get me wrong, the Mariners' offense has been letting the team down too. I mean, obviously today they scored,
2 runs.
Just 2 runs. But it's the other day, like you said, the first and third situation where they didn't score. I think they had a bases loaded situation in extras and they didn't score.
Yeah, Julio struck out. Yeah.
Yeah, just stuff like that. The offense isn't coming through necessarily either, but the pitching staff, and I think most notably, other than Andres Munoz, is Bryce Miller, who came back off the injured list, made his start, like you said, looked okay. But towards the end of his outing, even at 60-some pitches, his velo was down 2 or 3 ticks.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that he's dealing with a bone spur in his elbow and coming off of elbow inflammation. At what point do the Mariners just decide, okay, like he's more of a liability to have out on the mound right now. Let's get it taken care of before it becomes something permanent.
And I think you want to see if he can rebound, if he can bounce back. He threw 72 pitches in this start against the Twins. And yeah, the velo was down pretty quickly. If that's a consistent thing, you IL him, you get the surgery now, and make sure that he's ready for 2026. During the meetup, Lyle and TJ from Marine Lair came up and talked with us for a bit because they were at the game as well. And this was like a pretty big conversation that we all had together about like, what do you do with Miller? What is the idea with Miller going forward? If he's not going to be as competitive as Logan Evans, there's no reason to just not make sure Miller's fully healthy for 2026 and you just ride out with Evans for the rest of the year, or Hancock when Gilbert comes back. Either way, I think would be a better option than just kind of putting Bryce out to pasture, it feels like. And whether or not that's part of his decision making as well, because it likely is, because he's a gamer, he wants to go out there and compete. He doesn't maybe know when to stop and say like, okay, I need to get myself right. When you're sitting 92 after 50, 60 pitches, I have a hard time believing. What's that?
Said it's a red flag.
Yeah, huge red flag. And I have a hard time believing that it's going to get better. And even then, like, he was using a lot of his secondary stuff in certain at-bats. It wasn't working as well as other guys in this rotation. And it could be just one start. He could go out and throw 7 innings of shutout ball, strike out 10 in this next start, and we'll all look like fools. I hope that's the case. I hope I am wrong about my assumptions about where Bryce Miller's arm health is at right now, but that start against the Twins did not inspire any confidence. I do want to give a big shout out to Gabe Spire through an inning and 2/3 in relief coming into the 5th inning of that game. We were standing there like, wait, Gabe Spire's in? What is going on? Struck out 4, a huge, like, kind of like bridge moment for him in that second game against the Twins. But I would prefer them, if Miller's not going to be the Miller that we know and love, just get the surgery now. See you in 2026.
With what we saw from Logan Evans, like, and he said it himself, he can pitch here. Logan Evans, I'll be back. He I mean, good for him, man, having that sort of confidence to say something like that and be like, I proved to myself and to them that I can pitch up there.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah. If that's the case and that's the confidence you have, man, like, I'm down. If Miller's not himself, IL him, get the surgery, and bring up Logan Evans. And then, Logan Gilbert will be back eventually as well. So, I don't know. The rotation's in a very interesting spot right now. I think that there's not a whole lot of options other than Logan Evans. And, of course, waiting for Gilbert to get back. There are, however, a lot of options bat-wise, and one of them was Cole Young, and he was called up, as we mentioned. And it's interesting to figure out the expectations for Young. I would assume he's going to be up here. He's going to play every day.
He has to.
I would assume. I mean, he might get a day off versus like a tough lefty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not worth it if he's not playing every day.
Exactly. So he'll probably get a day off versus a tough lefty here and there, but he should be in there every single day because you got to know. You got to know what you're getting out of him. He doesn't necessarily look overmatched yet, although he did have a couple of strikeouts in today's game. So it's interesting because the team sent down Leo Rivas in the situation instead of Miles Mastroboni. Maybe it's because of the positional versatility and being able to put Mastroboni in the outfield.
I think so.
And maybe that's the call there, although Dylan Moore is kind of a man without a position right now. He's like
another roamer. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a roamer. So you have a couple of roamers, and then you have Mitch Garver and Donovan Solano. So it's like, the bench is,
It's in a state of disarray, it feels like at times.
What are your expectations? I know you talked about this on stream a little bit, but what are your expectations for Cole Young when it's all said and done and the dust settles in 2025?
If he's a league average bat and is striking out a little bit below or like right around league average, but like a little bit better than league average and walking probably around league average, playing defense that doesn't make me want to gouge my eyes out. Yeah, I think that's a successful rookie campaign for a guy that has put in a ton of innings down in the minor leagues. The offense isn't always going to come in the first year. It's not always immediately going to click. Cal Raleigh was an awful offensive player to start his career. And then he gets optioned at the beginning of 2022 and then comes back like a week later. And then
Tom Murphy got hurt.
Yeah. And then a couple years later, he's now the second best player in the American League. He is the best catcher in all of baseball. He is leading the league in home runs. Not saying that Cole Young is going to amount to that level of offensive capability, but if Cole Young, say, hits 250, 260 in his rookie year, and then 3 years from now he's hitting 305, I wouldn't be surprised necessarily. I don't think that's unattainable for him. But my expectations for him this year, I'm not going to put super lofty ones on him. I want him to succeed. I want him to be a league average bat because I think that's what the Mariners need at second base. And if it's a pillar of consistency defensively and just a good vibe in the clubhouse, like that's I think that's not the least, but like that's just what everyone should expect. If you're expecting him to come up and turn the world on fire and then immediately bash on him when he strikes out twice in a game and he's hitting 143, you got to send him down. He wasn't ready. The Mariners always rush their top prospects, blah, blah, blah. It's like, give it a break. You got to let them develop still at the major league level. Yes, they were developing at their existing level in the minor leagues as prospects. He has to adjust too. It's not just going to happen right away all the time. And again, similarly to the Bryce Miller stuff, in a week's time, Cole Young could be batting 500 for all I know. Do I expect it? No, because that's unrealistic. But I didn't expect Cal Raleigh to be leading the MLB in home runs at any point during this season. I didn't expect Logan Evans to throw out an 8-inning start at any point during this season. I didn't expect Andres Munoz to not allow an earned run until the end of May. A lot of unexpected things can happen. But if I were to put a pin on Cole Young, it's a league average bat with solid defense at second base. And that's all I'll need from him.
And that's all the Mariners need from him, honestly, in my opinion. Like you said, you can't expect him to be the savior. That would probably be an overreaction.
Good it segue. Would. Hey. Good sick segue, bro. Oh, is it? Oh, yours. Like I know, but like I thought you were gonna keep going to like say like
yeah. So like, man, what an overreaction that would be. Am I right, Joe? Speaking of overreactions, Joe's got a good one for you. Here it is.
Bam. Yep. Andres Munoz will not blow another save the rest of the year. I think he sees what has happened to him the last 2 days. Not last 2 days. Last 2 opportunities to get a save. Right? He doesn't like that feeling. No one does. Nobody would. Nobody should. Nobody ever will. Like blowing saves. That's not the pitcher that he is. He will continue. He'll let in earned runs. It's going to happen. But he will not blow another save for the rest of 2025. He got them all out in a 3-game span. That's it. 2 blown saves.
I'm in.
Or I guess 3 because the Athletics won. But that's my overreaction. I think
that's right.
Yeah, I think Munoz, he will finish the rest of the year. He will absolutely dial the F in and go 30 for 30 in saves the rest of the way.
So he's going to finish with 47 saves?
Something like that.
I'm in. I'm there. Yeah, it's interesting because, again, I'm not 100% certain if it is a mechanical thing with him, why his slider is just bad right now. If it's, like I said, a fatigue thing. I think a lot of that rides on what it is, right? Is it mental? Is it mechanical? Is it a fatigue thing? But I mean, you could see the look on his face today when he blew the save again. He's like, "Oh crap!
I did it again,
again!" Not even like anything in between. So yeah, I wouldn't. Would I say that's an overreaction? Yeah,
going perfect the rest of the way. I'd hope it's an overreaction.
He's bound to blow another one at some point this year. But I like it though. I think that's a lot of fun.
I need it. Yeah. I need him to get like AL reliever of the year. Get Cy Young votes, be the Emmanuel Clase kind of vibe. Like that's what I want from Munoz the rest of the year because he showed that he can do it for 2 months basically. Why not 3 more? Why not from June till the end of September? You know, I guess it's basically 4 months, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Well, he'll get like a week off in July, and you know
he'll be at the All-Star game. So
but they won't pitch him. They're not gonna throw him. Come on.
Why not?
The All-Star game using Mariners players in the game, unlikely.
True. Very valid point. There will be some All-Stars from the Orioles, maybe.
Maybe one. I mean, every team has to have one.
That's right. But it's probably not going to be Tomoyuki Sagano.
I mean, of the starters we're facing in this
Honestly,
series, Colton, he is the best one by the season standard. But the Orioles have hit a collapse that I don't think a lot of people maybe would see coming, given their previous success in the past 2 seasons. The rotation was always going to be seen as a problem for the Orioles. It was, you're signing a bunch of filler guys to kind of be front end starters when they're probably not front end starters anymore. Grayson Rodriguez has been injured. Like, there's a lot kind of riding on a guy that they signed, like Charlie Morton, who was awful. I mean, Zach Eflin, who was a big trade piece that they got, was that last year from the Orioles or from the Rays?
I don't remember. That sounds right.
I think it was last year. A 4.46 ERA, a guy that's supposed to be the front end of the rotation. Obviously, without Grayson Rodriguez, that's a different story. They signed a 36-year-old or 37-year-old Tomoyuki Sugano out of the NPB. Deidara was hating on it when it happened in the offseason. He's actually pitching pretty well, but like, their starting rotation has been genuinely awful. The 4th worst starting pitcher ERA in baseball with a 5.26 ERA. I don't know how the bullpen is doing in general, but I imagine it's probably better. Oh my God, it's the exact same. It's the exact same. How is that possible?
Felix Bautista?
It's a 5.26 starter and a 5.32 bullpen ERA. They're the third west. Talking's hard, bro. 3rd worst pitching staff in all of baseball by team ERA. And their bats are not doing much of anything to really counter that. 97 team WRC plus, 18th in all of baseball. They're in the cellar in the American League East. They're 14 games under 500. They've already fired their manager. With George Kirby starting the first game, right?
Yep.
With George starting Tuesday, because there's a day off today that you're hearing this. It doesn't look like a pitching advantage in this one. George's 11.42 ERA hasn't looked necessarily sharp in the rehab starts that he made or the 2 starts that he's made so far at the major league level. A struggling, scuffling, going to be sellers at the deadline Orioles team feels like as good of place as any to get a bounce back start out of George Kirby. I probably said the same damn thing about the Nats, but
I think you did.
I definitely did. But, I'll just keep throwing the darts. I'll keep throwing the dart. Like, eventually a crappy team that George Kirby has to pitch against will not understand that he's going to throw a bunch of pitches in the zone and swing at them.
I would say the Orioles are worse than the Nats.
Yeah.
Like, their numbers are worse. And I think that the Mariners have been hit around by the Orioles in the past couple of years, but this is a different Orioles team. It truly is. For George, I don't know what to expect. I'm basically going to say it every time out. If he can go 5 and give up less, like 2 or less, I'll be confident in that moving forward. It's a big start for him, in my opinion. It's kind of like, okay, you've had a couple, time to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you have a guy like Logan Evans who was throwing the ball real well. You sent him down, to make some moves. And as of right now, those moves look bad.
They haven't paid off for you yet.
At all. And we know how good George could be. We know how good Bryce can be. But either way, I think that this is a series where you have to win this series.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You were able to win the Twin Series. You probably should have swept the Twin Series. You all should have definitely won the Nat Series. This baseball team, and I think Ty tweeted it the other day, he said, this is really going to put Dan Wilson to the test. Like, how good of a manager is Dan Wilson? The honeymoon phase is over. It's time to nut up or shut up, for lack of a better term. And I think that this is a series where it's like, okay, let's see what kind of baseball team you are. Are you the team that's 6 games over 500 that was a top 3 offense for a month? Or are you the team that just blew 4 leads in a row in the 9th inning and, fall apart versus some real bad teams and can't get things across the plate in game 2? You have Cade Povich on the mound, a left-handed pitcher. So I'll be interested to see if we do get a start from Cole Young in that game. I assume we do. but it could be Dylan Moore over there at second base as well. He's got a 5.29 ERA on the year. He's 1-4. So, whatever. He's not great. He hasn't been fantastic, but that means Solano's probably in the lineup. That means Garver's probably in the lineup. So he might look like an all-star.
Yeah, they're going to make him look real good.
Real good. Emerson Hancock is on the mound for the Mariners. He's 2-2 with a 5.64 ERA. That ERA is pretty inflated, obviously, from his first start of the season. Over his past few, he's been really good. It is home Emerson Hancock, not road warrior Emerson Hancock. So we'll see.
We'll see what version of him we get.
I still feel good about this game pitching matchup wise, even though technically Hancock's ERA is higher than Povic's. I think that I like the Mariners' chances with how well that Hancock's been throwing the ball recently.
I mean, in his last 3 starts, 4 2/3, 6 hits, 1 earned. Again, that was against the Padres. Against Houston, 6 innings, 9 hits, 3 earned. Against the Nats, 5 1/3, 2 hits, 2 earned. He's keeping the team in ball games. There hasn't been a big blow-up start since that first one. I said on stream, I think every single game in this Orioles series, you have... There's an argument, but I think you have a pitching advantage in every single one. Kirby is probably the biggest one where you'd be like, oh, okay, he hasn't looked good. Yes, but he'll figure it out. He has to figure it out eventually.
He has to.
Legitimately, he has to. This is not the pitcher that George Kirby is. So I give the pitching advantage in game 1. Povich versus Hancock, it could be a coin flip, but from what we've seen out of Hancock in recent starts, just keeping the team within games, I think the advantage it's like a 51-49. But I think there is still an argument for an advantage to be made. If it is a blow-up start, that could be problematic because the previous game with George Kirby, who knows how much length you're going to get? How many innings are you going to get out of Kirby? So I'll be curious to see what the bullpen's looking like going into that second game. And if Hancock has a blow-up start, like your bullpen is toast for the final game, which is there's no good time to have a bullpen be short, but when Brian Wu is starting that final game against Zach Eflin, that is a time where, okay, we've only got limited arms out of the pen. Wu will go and get you 6 because he's done it every single start this season. Every single time you can pencil in Brian Wu in 2025 for 6 innings. He might go 7. He might go 8. Heck, give him the 9th, Dan. Let's see a complete game. Okay, he won't, but it would be fun to see it happen once in my lifetime. I'm just kidding. I watched Felix Hernandez pitch for a decade, so
we were at the perfect game.
I know. I'm just it's hyperbolic. Okay, we're just exaggerating here a little bit, but that final game,
overreacting. Whoa.
Having Wu go up against the best pitcher on the Orioles with Zach Eflin, yes, he's been great in the past, not been great so far this year. He had a bounce back start against the White Sox his last time out. I know because I streamed him in fantasy. It was the White Sox. You know what I mean? There's not a lot to it. You can understand how he pitched well. The Mariners are a better team than the White Sox. They should be able to get to Zach Eflin, and Brian Wu should hopefully cruise and allow one of the first 2 games to decide whether or not you win or lose this series, or if you end up sweeping this one. Again, like I said, every single pitching matchup, I value the Mariners as the favorite in those specific parts of the game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Zach Eflin on the year has 40 innings pitched, and he's only struck out 24 hitters.
Yeah,
which is crazy to me that he has had that much trouble striking guys out. He has a 1.09 whip, so he gets the ball on the ground, I think, a lot, and it's usually a weaker contact, which is why he's been so good in the past. To say, like you said, he would probably be the Mariners' 5, but he is their
1.
Base.
Yeah.
Which says a lot about where the Orioles are at from a pitching standpoint, and that's why I think that if the Mariners can just put up some of the at-bats that we saw before the last 5 or 6 days, then I think that we'll be doing okay. But I don't know what to expect out of this team right now. I talked about it on the last one. This team could be 10 games up in the division or 10 games down in the division at the trade deadline, and I don't think either would shock me. Obviously, I'd much prefer one over the other, but you know. So yeah, I think that this is an interesting series. One, the Mariners definitely need to go out there and win. And I
Yeah.
think that with the off day, with the bullpen being able to get rested, which is good because they've played. I mean, they played what, 3 extra inning games in a row,
Hmm.
and then almost had to play one today. So I think that that's a good thing that they have the off day going into a series with the Orioles before they go back out on the road. It's just we're gonna see what this team's made of over the next couple of weeks. It's a much needed off day for this Mariners bullpen, a much needed off day probably for some of the players. I'm glad Cole Young's gonna get to spend it in Seattle. You know what I mean, for the first time. But that's gonna do it from us here on episode 196 of the Hit It Year podcast. We appreciate you guys watching this one, and go Mariners.